The line at the grocery store stretched longer than usual for a Tuesday evening. Daniel shifted his weight from one leg to the other and glanced down at his 6-year-old daughter, Ella, who sat in the shopping cart, swinging her legs. She held a loaf of bread in her lap like it was treasure, her hair tied into a messy ponytail he had attempted before they left home. Being a single dad wasn't easy. Every little task felt like a mountain, but he did it with love. He had promised himself that no matter how tough life got, Ella would always feel safe and cared for. Tonight, though, he was exhausted. His construction shift had run late, and he still needed to make dinner, help with Ella's reading homework, and somehow find time to fix the leaky faucet that had been dripping for days. When their turn finally came, he pushed the cart forward and offered the cashier a tired but polite smile. She couldn't have been more than 20, with a name tag that read Maya. Her long sleeves hung a little loose on her frame, and her dark hair was pulled back, though a few strands had slipped free. As she began scanning items, Daniel noticed something: her hands were trembling. Not a slight jitter, but a noticeable shake that made the bread nearly slip as she moved it across the scanner. At first, he thought maybe she was just cold, but the store was warm. She fumbled with a carton of eggs, nearly dropping it, and muttered an apology under her breath. Daniel watched for a moment, debating whether to say anything. He didn't want to embarrass her, but his curiosity and concern got the better of him. "Hey," he said gently, leaning closer so Ella wouldn't overhear, "are you okay? Your hands, they're shaking." Maya froze, the beeping of the scanner momentarily forgotten. Her eyes flicked up to his, wide, as if she'd been caught doing something she wasn't supposed to. For a moment, Daniel thought she might snap at him or brush it off. Instead, she set the box of cereal down carefully, exhaled, and whispered, "It's not the first time someone's noticed." Daniel waited, sensing she had more to say. Her voice trembled like her hands when she continued. "I have anxiety. Pretty bad, actually. Sometimes when I get nervous, my hands won't stop shaking. It makes my job harder, and I'm always worried people will think I'm careless or broken." She let out a shaky laugh, though her eyes glistened. "Some customers get angry, especially if I'm slow or mess up with their change." Daniel felt a lump rise in his throat. He hadn't expected that. "You're not broken," he said softly, the words leaving his mouth before he could think. "You're human. And you're still here, doing your job, even when it's hard. That's strength." Her lips parted slightly, as though his words had knocked the wind out of her. For a moment, she simply stared, blinking rapidly. Ella, who had been quiet until now, piped up with childlike innocence. "Daddy says strong people don't always look strong. Sometimes they just keep going even when it's scary." Maya let out a surprised laugh, covering her mouth. Tears shimmered in her eyes, but this time they seemed lighter, like a weight had been lifted. "Your daughter is wise," she said, her voice warm. Daniel ruffled Ella's hair and smiled. "She's had to be. Life's been a little complicated for us." He hesitated, then added, "Her mom passed away a couple of years ago. It's just the two of us now." The girl's smile faded into something softer, more thoughtful. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Daniel nodded. "Thank you. It's been tough, but we get through it, one day at a time. Sometimes I think it's the little kindnesses that keep us going. A smile from a stranger. A kind word. You never know how much it means." Maya swallowed hard, her shaking hands still, just for a moment. She scanned the last few items in silence, then looked up again. "You have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. Before my shift, I almost didn't come in. I was sitting in the parking lot, trying to calm myself down, telling myself I couldn't handle people staring at me again. But I forced myself through the door. And then you didn't just stare. You asked." Daniel didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to being the one who made such an impact. But maybe that was the point. Sometimes the smallest act of noticing someone else could change everything. "You're braver than you think," he said finally. "And you're not alone, even if it feels like it." Maya blinked back more tears, then gave him a smile that looked genuine, the kind that came from deep inside. She handed him the receipt with steady hands this time. "Thank you," she whispered. "For seeing me." Daniel took the receipt, but it felt like more than a slip of paper had passed between them. He nodded and guided Ella out of the store, the cool evening air wrapping around them as they stepped outside. As they walked to the car, Ella looked up at him. Daddy, she said seriously, I think you helped her. Daniel chuckled, lifting her into the car seat. Maybe. But I think she helped me too. That night, after dinner and bedtime stories, when Ella was asleep and the apartment was quiet, Daniel thought back to the moment at the checkout line. Life had a way of piling on burdens, of making people feel invisible under the weight of their struggles. But sometimes, just sometimes, you got the chance to remind someone they weren't alone. And in doing so, you reminded yourself of the same thing. He closed his eyes, exhaustion finally pulling at him, but this time there was a small, unexpected peace in his chest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, he carried with him the memory of a young cashier with trembling hands and a smile that spoke of courage. And that was enough.